we've got what's sure to be a feisty one. Is Kyler Murray a top 10 quarterback in the NFL? We're about to find out. It's another episode of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
I've got Cardinals producer, PHNX Cardinals at Damon, Dawg here. And then we've got Flex from Jersey, who's on the PHNX Sun show. But people don't know, Flex, you are a football fanatic.
Yes.
You're a junkie, are you not?
Junkie. They let them know, man.
You've been itching. It's like you're like a dog on like a leash. You've been itching to talk about some football.
I couldn't wait to come today. Cause I've been begging for this opportunity, and I was blessed. Y'all put me on with the goats. Man, I'm ready to go.
And myself, I am Erik Ruby. Once again, guys, if you're new to PHNX, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Southwest Bias is going to come at you every week. If you missed last week's episode where we talked about Caitlin Clark and Diana Taurasi, make sure you go and check that out. Damon, I'm going to start with you. The national perspective about Kyler Murray over the last couple of years has been in the toilet. Kind of starting with the downfall in the Cliff Kingsbury era, the homework clause and everything like that. From somebody who talks about, reads about, covers the Cardinals on a daily basis, do you feel like he's been getting an unfair national spin?
Yeah, I mean, to me personally, I guess when we go through all the, day-to-day, locker room sound and talking to the coaches and the players, and we play, all these audio clips on our PHNX Cardinals show, Kyler Murray he really is just a guy that wants to win at the end of the day. Like, that's what it feels like to me. That's his number one priority. That's the thing that he cares most about in the world. And, I think that, like you said, the national perspective would be if you said, what does Kyler Murray care about most? What would they tell you?
Probably Call of Duty.
They would say Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I honestly haven't, has there been a mention of Call of Duty within a 24-month window from Kyler Murray? I think that is really what strikes me is you got a guy who at the highest level, all he cares about is, he wants to win. And that's what you want out of your quarterback. Yeah. That's what everybody would want their quarterback to say. But he doesn't have that narrative for some reason.
So, Flex, the reason why you're on here is because obviously you're Flex from Jersey, right? But you're tapped in the Phoenix market, but you've seen Kyler Murray from a different perspective, right? And from a more national perspective. And coming in, we've had conversations about Kyler, and it's been, I'm just not so sure. Yeah. Is that an accurate portrayal of your feelings now, and why?
I tell you what, I'm warming up.
Okay.
And rightfully so, I'm here now. So yeah. I'm here now. I'm watching Kyler a little bit more closely from the East Coast. You just nailed it. From an outside perspective, I've always kind of been on the fence with Kyler. I do believe Kyler's a really good quarterback. Mm-hmm. But heavy is the head that wears the crown, man. And when you're the first pick in the draft,
right,
and you're the franchise guy, that's a heavy thing. And I feel like in the past, I will say this, guys. I am a football junkie. I love the game, but I also love the perspective of the player, mm-hmm, right? And I feel like in the past, I've seen Kyler in situations where maybe at the podium, he didn't win as much as I'd like him to win at the podium based on the position he holds in this franchise.
Right.
And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way sometimes. But I will say this. I heard Kyler a couple weeks ago, and I can sense a maturity. I can sense what you just said. We're not hearing about Call of Duty anymore. This guy's went through some adversity. I think the ACL injury kind of woke him up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I will last thing I'll say on this is Kyler is roughly a 4,000 yard quarterback when he's at his best. He's a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio guy at his best. His QBR is a little low, but I think if Kyler is who he is, we got to get that QBR to about 75. I think he's at about 47.2 right now, but this is a short season last year, and then the ACL. If he can do that, then yeah, I think he's moving in the right direction.
And I want to touch about the adversity and everything like that, and what you said about Kyler and at the podium. And at my previous job, I covered the Cardinals, and kind of like Damon, I was listening to every little piece of audio, but not just from Kyler, but from everybody. And that included former head coach Cliff Kingsbury. Basically, every single word that he said, I heard,
Yeah.
right? And I heard every time Steve Keim made a public appearance and talked and gave answers every single week, right? And the thing that I think is lost on a lot of outside eyes is that the organization surrounding Kyler Murray did him an injustice in his growing years as a quarterback. Nobody's ever doubted that Kyler Murray is one of the most electrically talented, gifted guys on the field. It's why he went number one. It's why he has multiple different cleats and plays in the Hall of Fame right now because of stuff that he's done on the field. I mean, we're talking about somebody that when he is on and when he is healthy and when he has a team around him, and sometimes even when he doesn't, he can do things that very few people that ever walk this planet can. But I agree to where, oh man, they're talking about COD and they're talking about he's maybe not taking responsibility. And then you see him kind of getting in it with Cliff on the sidelines. And one thing that I think you'll notice is that when did this perspective start to shift? It's when everything around Kyler changed.
Okay.
When Cliff turned into Gannon, when Keim turned into Austin Fort, when it kind of, as a franchise, took that next step into maturity, right? Yeah. And the thing with Kyler is you saw him win on a high level. You saw them win really, really good at the first half of a season, and then they fall off. And you can point at Kyler to that, but for me, I point more to the coaching staff. I point more to a lack of adjustments. And I think that going into this year with Jonathan Gannon, with a better line around him, with better weapons in Marvin Harrison Jr., I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about where Kyler ends up going, right? Yeah, we hold the line over here.
We do.
You held the line.
We did.
The line has been there.
Kyler held the line.
Kyler held the line.
You see him watching that on draft night?
He was pumped. Everybody on the Cardinals was holding the line. I mean, listen, now you're going into this year, and personally, I had major doubts about the entire past Cardinals regime, and it's completely flipped. So my thought is, where's now the ceiling for Kyler? You got offensive weapons around him. You have a better line, better coaching staff, better game plan. Damon, is it unfair to say that I think he could be a top 10 quarterback?
No, I mean, when you look at the situation, especially offensively, right? Like, they got a lot of continuity on the offensive line. One change on the offensive line. You got that left guard spot up in the air and weren't getting great production from that spot anyways last season. You got, Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch rounding out that receiving core with obviously MHJ as your number one of the best tight ends in football, and Trey McBride, James Conner, consistent running back. So the weapons are all around him. I don't think that there are really any excuses this year, but I'm not sure that he's really going to need them either. The thing about Kyler that always strikes me is he's so dynamic, and you mentioned this. Like, the heights, the ceiling that Kyler can reach are a different level than most quarterbacks in the NFL because of what he can do athletically, and his arm is dynamic. Like, he has an incredibly strong arm for a dude his size in particular. I think that, it's really like, I think it's just all about putting it together. And I look at all these quarterback lists, like you look at the, national perspective on these quarterback lists, because people have been doing those a lot recently with the offseason, and, publications like Pro Football Focus and other places are putting out their, comprehensive list. I see every list having Kyler in like the average tier at like 18, 15, like in that range. Yeah. And I think that, that's a little bit unfair. And I think that, that's a little bit of like, we haven't seen Kyler play too much recently. Yeah. Because when he did play last year, he was pretty damn good. Like, and I know, you referenced the stats earlier, but he was playing with next to no talent last season. No. And I think that, like, with the upgrade in talent and with him playing the full season off of the, rehab from the ACL tear, I definitely see him being in that top 10 conversation at least, like in that like 12 range at the very lowest.
Okay, so I've done this for years. Every season I have my top 10 quarterback ranking, and I've always had Kyler right around the end of the top 10.
Okay.
And I would have heated arguments with my son Malik, who's actually over here today, who he loves Kyler Murray. I would put Kyler at 11, 12, and we'd go back and forth. And my thing with Kyler is 11 and 12. Listen, there's 10 really good quarterbacks in the NFL. Then you got that middle of the pack, and then you got those 10 guys that are scrubs. Right? I'm just going to keep it real.
Yeah, there's the tiers.
You got the tiers. And I hate to call them scrubs because they're quarterbacks in the NFL. But you get what I'm saying. Lower level quarterbacks. I think Kyler is a fringe top 10 guy. But I think you said a word while you were talking that struck a chord for me. You said excuses, okay? This is the year of eliminating the excuses, right? We've got the GM that we trust. We've got the head coach that we trust. We've got continuity on the O-line. We've got Connor and some help in the running game. You've got a wide receiver core that should be electric. You got a great tight end. The excuses are gone now. And so where I'm at this year is I want Kyler to succeed. I think there are times where progression can be better, right? I think Kyler's a phenomenal athlete, and Tigers don't change their stripes. And I think there are times where Kyler would diagnose something and immediately go to, hey, I am a world-class athlete. If that doesn't look quite right, if that window is not clean enough for me, I'm going to be Kyler Murray, and that's cool. That's great. But I prefer him to kind of tone that back a little bit.
You win sometimes with that, and you lose sometimes.
That's right.
With that. Like
that's right.
Yeah,
it's a gift and a curse.
That can, and it's like what Erik said with these like untalented rosters. That can win you a football game by himself, doing just with his athleticism and that elite ability, those elite traits. But yeah, it can also lose you a football game in the same. So it's about finding that balance. And I think that the team has that balance this year where we're finally going to be able to see that from Kyler.
Yeah, and something that you mentioned, and when we've talked about this, because this is not the first time that we have had this conversation. This has probably been, since I've met you, one of the recurring conversations that we have, and it's about Kyler. And the point that you make, and I do think that there's some truth to it, is the progressions thing, right? Yeah. And I do think that there is growth in that area that he can make. But I also think, like, kind of harping back to my original point of Cliff Kingsbury's offense, there was no faith. There was no trust in the offense. And also the offense was, hey, Kyler, go be Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Throw a jump ball to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah,
in
either
triple coverage.
Throw it down to DeAndre Hopkins or make one read. Something's not there. You're either throwing it on a screen or you're taking off and you're running and you're trying to make something out of nothing. And you know what? Like, that did work, and it worked for a while. But the thing about the NFL is you can't do the same thing over and over again because every other coach is really smart. Exactly. So when you run into that so often and you see him just running for his life all the time because basically that's the play call. Yeah. And then he gets injured and obviously everything goes down after that. But now that you have a Drew Petzing and you have a Marvin Harrison Jr. and you have legitimate options. I mean, you look at Trey McBride, has an argument for top 3 tight end in the league. And like he could be somebody that at the end of this season, nationally, like people are already starting to come around. Like you see Mina Kimes when she's on the Cardinals show talking about McBride's maids and everything like that.
He's a top 5 tight end across the board.
And I think he can move up. Right. Yeah. So you look at all of that, plus you have your one-of-one blue chip prospect of Marvin Harrison Jr. Yes. I mean, yes, the excuses are gone, and that makes it exciting. And I think it just also shines the light on before. And so as we begin to wrap this up, I want to jump into the top 10 because I'm just going to throw some names out there, you guys. Some of these super easy answers. Some of these, I think it's more of an uncomfortable conversation. The easiest one, Patrick Mahomes. Kyler Murray, not better than Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Correct? Correct. Joe Burrow. No. Not better than Joe Burrow. Okay? This is an unnamed other source top 10 quarterback. Lamar Jackson. Lamar's better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jalen Hurts.
I'm gonna go Hurts, but that's a conversation.
That's a conversation.
So this is the fourth.
Because Jalen Hurts he's been in a situation his whole career where everything has been perfect around him. Best O-line in football, if not best wide receiver duo in football in AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. You got Dallas Goedert. You got decent running backs in DeAndre Swift. Like his life has been.
He's the Jason Tatum of the NFL.
Yeah.
He's been set up for success since the day he got there.
That's fair. Yeah, no, right? And I think that Chris Sims, when we talked to him on Radio Row in Vegas, he specifically said that he would take Kyler Murray over Jalen Hurts if he was the Eagles.
Can I tap in on this?
Yeah.
I do think this is an intriguing argument. I do think this is where it gets really close.
Yeah.
I'm going with Jalen Hurts because I just think the body, the attributes. Fair. The physicality, there are just some things.
You know what? That's a good tiebreaker there. I think Kyler has had injury issues, and Jalen Hurts, while he was hurt last year, has been fairly injury free. So I do understand that point.
All I'm saying is, in this unnamed list, that's number 4.
That's number 4.
Okay, that's number 4, and we're talking about that's a conversation, right? We go to number 5.
But I don't agree with him being 4.
I agree with that too. But still,
Jalen Hurts should be like 9.
I'm just putting that out there. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Okay,
Dak Prescott.
Okay, this one's close to me.
I'm taking Kyler.
I'm taking
No,
Kyler.
that's what I'm saying. This one's close to me.
Kyler.
I think Kyler Murray has the opportunity to be a much better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to look at what Dak has been able to do, and if there was a tie, I would lean Dak just because of the body of work. But if Kyler comes in this year and no more excuses and has a really good season and starts to show that the Arizona Cardinals are on the rise, I will emphatically, at the drop of a dime, say Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. But today, I'm still...
You're leaning Dak? See, I would disagree with that, but I like how you're saying this season can change that.
Again, I want to say Kyler.
Okay.
I want so badly to say Kyler, but I'm still going to give Dak the benefit of the doubt just because of the resume. Although he doesn't win in the playoffs, he gets there a lot. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. This is 7. And again, you can disagree with these top 10 rankings, whatever, but these are quarterbacks that are always generally
In this
the
range.
top 10 or
Yeah.
top 5.
Range,
Justin Herbert.
Oh, no doubt, Justin Herbert.
I'll take Herbert.
I will lean Herbert as well. Tua.
I'll take Kyler.
I'm taking Kyler over
I would
Tua.
take Kyler.
Okay. 9, CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud. I got to go with
Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
Okay. And 10, Brock Purdy.
Oh,
I'd take
Kyler.
Kyler.
Okay,
for
so
sure.
what Brock Purdy,
See, that list
Jalen
is
Hurts,
fucking
Dak
crazy,
Prescott. Okay,
though.
here are the runner-ups. Here are the
There's
runner-ups.
no way that's my top 10 list. Brock Purdy, you kidding me, though? No way.
Listen, the
Who
honorable
made this
mentions.
list?
I'm not going to mention it because we're obviously better than them. Matthew Stafford is also in that conversation according to this list as
No.
well. Like, okay, but these are quarterbacks that some people would consider in the top 10. Right? And we took 3 or 4 of them and said Kyler either has an argument or is better.
Yeah.
You go beyond that. Are you talking about what? Jordan Love? Kirk Cousins? I mean, who else are you looking at outside of that top 10 that is better than Kyler Murray?
If Jordan Love repeats what he did this past season, if he has 35 touchdown passes again, I might.
You take Jordan Love
I
over
Are
might
we
take
Kyler?
talking?
Jordan
Are we?
That's
Listen,
one season though.
Yeah, no. Listen, are we talking about today? What we think is going to happen this season? Are we talking about age? Because listen, at the end of the
about
day,
here going forward, like right
Yeah,
now plus
dog,
projection, as you usually do. It's like a balance of what's happened and what you think will happen.
come on. I know the guy's coming off injury, but there's no way in the world you're going to give me a top 10 without Aaron Rodgers in it. Like, come on, man.
I would.
You would?
Last time he played a full season, he wasn't top 10.
You don't think so?
He was not very good 2 years ago. He was hurt, but he's always hurt. He gets hurt every year. That's the problem. He was playing through nagging injuries, but
I will say this: if you came to me today and you said, "Hey, we got the biggest game of our lives today,"
that's fair.
and you got Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers, is no fucking way I'm even thinking about Kyler Murray. I'm saying,
but
"Hey,
also-
Rod, come here and get me this dub." That's what I'm
Rodgers
saying.
has lost almost
Like
all the
5
big
to
games in
6
his
years
career.
ago. Yeah, but
Bro,
Now?
no.
now
I think y'all sleep.
listen. You talk about off-field distractions. like,
No, the dude,
let's be honest here.
Listen, I think that Jet team is going to be, assuming he stays healthy the whole year, I think that Jet team is going to be
fully
electric.
healthy. You think the Jets would be better with a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers over a fully healthy Kyler Murray this year?
Jets, Cardinals?
If you're talking about the Jets, okay,
Yeah, Jets.
a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers or a fully healthy Kyler Murray on that Jets roster. You said
yeah.
with Aaron Rodgers, they're better.
I'm going Aaron Rodgers.
I would disagree with you.
I'm going
Okay,
A-Rod.
here's the only other name that I feel like you could argue in top 10, and that's Trevor Lawrence, and that's just based off of kind of pedigree.
Give me
as well.
Kyler. That Trevor Lawrence is the most overrated player in football. You can go ahead and
Yeah.
make that a supplementary video on this one.
We might do that. Okay, so
Yeah,
listen,
I'm with you.
all I'm saying is the way that we broke it down, I would say it's almost emphatic that Kyler's at least in the end of the top 10.
Absolutely.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
For me, that would be like the lowest I would have him would probably be like 12, 13. Like that's kind of where I'm sitting.
He's about 11, 12 for me. And again, I do not like this top 10 list.
But I'm giving you names outside of the top 10 list, even as far as debating within. Like, if you want to say Jordan Love is better and you want to bump out somebody who's in there, that's fine. You want to bump out Brock Purdy? More than fine with me, right? But you're still talking about coming off the worst part of his career. You could still make an argument that you guys are saying just outside the top 10. I think he's clearly at least 10, and he has the room to get better.
I think he'll finish top 10 if he plays a full season.
There you
yeah,
go.
I think easily
That's my final take.
So
on the matter.
we can all agree on that.
Listen, Kyler, I think Kyler's going to, if he stays healthy, plays the whole year, has this wide receiver called Marvin is who we think he is as advertised. that O-line's chemistry. I expect Kyler to come out here, throw for 4,000 yards, have like 25 to 10 touchdown interception ratio. Probably bump that QBR to about 75. He does that. He's a top 10 quarterback all day. And he's shown signs that he can do that. Stay healthy, my guy. Stay healthy. Get the Cardinals back on track, and you're a top 10 guy, no question.
Well, you heard it from us. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Is Kyler Murray a top 10 quarterback? Are we crazy? Are we smart? Are we somewhere in between? If you want to hear Cardinals talk every single weekday at 4:30, you can follow at PHNX_Cardinals. You can follow at Damon, Dawg, who is producer extraordinaire, on there as well. If you want a little basketball talk from Flex, you can follow at Flex from Jersey or at PHNX_Suns. And you can follow myself at Erik Ruby, Erik with a K. You can catch me on PHNX Sun Devils at PHNX_Sun Devils. Also, 5 days out of the week. Make sure you subscribe. If you have not subscribed already, what are you doing? If you made it to the end of this video and you haven't subscribed, like, come on, be real with me.
Yeah.
Hit that button, hit that like button, and we'll be back next week for another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.